Great pleasure to welcome to What's Next Valde Ferradaz is the CEO of MVN-X. And Valde is a seasoned CEO. He's been in the business for a long time. He's got a proven track record in driving diversification and change and growth in the mobile telecommunications industry. And, he's been through various different organizations, adopting strategies that have given rise to rapid transformation and the acceleration of commercial growth and the establishment of sustainable high-performance cultures. And Valde's speciality comes in highly competitive environments of MVNOs and MVNEs, and is currently the CEO of MVN-X South Africa, which is South Africa's leading enabler of MVNOs. So welcome to you, Valde. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
Well, thank you, Aki. Nice to see you too. Thank you.
That's fantastic, man. Listen, you guys at MVN-X, you describe yourselves as Africa's leading enabler of MVNOs. And for our viewers, please can you explain what it is that you have helped many South Africa's largest brands do and launch their own MVNOs? How have you established yourself so strongly in this local market?
Okay, we've been doing it for a long time, just over a decade. So we were like the early adopters of the MVNOs. And essentially what we do is we're able to allow any brand or any organization who wants to offer connectivity services to their customers. So the best way to describe it is if you wanted to offer the same services and more like a Vodacom and MTN can offer to their customers, we would enable that. So we would connect you to a network of your choice, and we would enable you to make your own products, your own bundles, your own airtime packages with your own SIMs, with your own brand, with your own expiry date, your own rules, exactly like you would like to service your customers. We would enable you to do that. You don't need to be a mobile operator anymore to do that. That's what we do for you.
Okay, and you basically can customize it, right? So if I want this and I want that, it's like a completely customizable solution. How many customers do I need to have before it becomes viable for me to start my own MVNO?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The days of having, I would say the days of having a lot of customers are gone, because I think the technology that we provide you, so maybe I'll tell you a little bit how we go about it, because it makes sense in the context of why we've led and why we continue to grow in the MVNO business very successfully. And we're seeing quite a big surge of MVNOs coming into the market. What happens is that you can have as little as 10,000 customers and run an MVNO. You don't need to have a lot of customers on your base anymore. I think it all depends what your organization is trying to do in the market and how many customers you want to connect. Some of the big banks and the big retailers say, well, we want to enable millions of customers on our platform because we're engaging them over the mobile phone, and it's what we want. But the small to medium companies are coming to us and they're saying, well, listen, I've got this niche set of customers and I want to offer them really affordable connectivity as part of the service, as part of the value, and digitizing my engagement. And can I afford to do it? And the answer is yes. So with it, because we have the technology that enables you to connect to a network of your choice. We can help you build your products. You can buy airtime at wholesale level as the big guys do. So it's the market has really, really opened up. And I think...
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, now carry on. I interrupted you.
No. That's fine. Okay, so but we're going to touch on that a little bit later on. But, over the years, it's quite interesting because I remember talking to you a few months back, and you've spoken a lot about mobile data as being a commodity or even being used as digital currency, which is actually fascinating when you think about it, right? How does this benefit businesses who are wanting to launch an MVNO, as you just touched on now, a mobile virtual network operator? It's a mouthful. And how does it benefit their subscribers down the line?
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I think from a consumer perspective, and if you look at people, you look at the nation, and let's look at South Africa in this instance, and you look at the economy, and you look at how people there's a need for education, a need for online learning, a need for policing, and a need to get medicines, to get help, to become part of the humanitarian process. These people are isolated without communications. And I think we all agree that communication brings the economy together, brings people together. People are able to become part of society. So from a consumer perspective, the ability to be on the internet and to be able to have data access so they can access all of these things I've mentioned has become one of the most valuable commodities. So the consumer wants to engage. They need data. They need data, if possible, for free. And they need it accessible at the point where they are. These people travel kilometers and kilometers sometimes to get a bit of airtime. So, we need to look at the whole country as a whole. We look at the unemployment rate. We look at the uneducation. We look at the need for education, need to get the poorer, more rural communities involved in the economy. There's a big need for customers to afford connectivity to the world. That's the consumer. So they will see the value in data and getting connected. From a business perspective, they try to digitize their engagement with their customers. Most businesses are saying, hey, I've got to talk to my customers as regularly as possible and offer them value at the point of time when they're doing a transaction. If they're banking or if they're at the supermarket or there's a special, I should be able to reward them. I should be able to connect them. I should be able to tell them about a special. I should be able to engage with them continuously. It's that constant engagement of brands trying to look after their customers and enrich the digital experience of their customers. So if you put those two things together, the common denominator there is data, is internet access. It's the ability to be able to converse over what is the most used, I think, device that people have today is a mobile device. You're carrying your business, you're carrying the internet, you're carrying WhatsApp, you're carrying your rewards, you're carrying your wallet, you're carrying a lot of things. That digitization is not happening through traditional channels or through the mobile operators. MVNOs and brands can now start connecting and reaching the masses and their customers and digitizing their engagements with this currency. With the currency, why I call it the currency is because airtime, if you've got a wallet of airtime, you should be able to convert your airtime into rands and buy something at the till. Or if you're buying something at the till, get rewarded in data. You can see how those two things come together.
So that's how it's evolving. That is so interesting.
Yeah, it's very powerful, and the brands are now saying, well, can I even do this? And you say, yes, you can. And they say, how? So you spoke earlier about how does MVN-X really differentiate itself and how we've been able to establish ourselves in the market. And our success has not just been about enabling you, which I'm sure we'll talk about. It's also about, why do you want to become MVNO? Should you become an MVNO? Can you afford to become one? What will you offer your customers? What will your packages be? What other services you want to offer them? Will it make money? Will your customers engage with you? How will they use you? And then once you've decided all that, and it's got the feasibility and the models and a value proposition, then we take them through a journey to say, okay, now let's connect you. Let's integrate you, because we do that all the time, right? We've connected over 15 MVNOs. And we're saying, well, let's connect you to the network of choice. Do you want to use network A or network B, or do you want fixed broadband, or do you want fixed wireless, or do you want voice, data? So we can bring all that to the party. And once you connect it, then we help you, collect your money, service your customers, maybe even acquire your customers through digital platforms. So it's this turnkey solution that's really powerful for us. And that's where we've evolved to. And not just a platform, but a real commercial enabler of your business to become an MVNO.
Now, you mentioned earlier, and there's so much noise about MVNOs. I remember when you guys first started, people, what is an MVNO, Now today, there's a lot of activity in the market and lots of MVNOs coming in, but the way in which traditional MVNOs operate is changing, because it's not what it used to be in the past. What exactly is a traditional MVNO, and how is it evolving in a maturing market? What do you see?
Yes, it's a good point. I think traditional MVNOs are very focused around telecommunications, So they offer, you take Standard Bank Mobile, for example, and other customers, they offer bundles, an airtime bundle, a data, voice, minutes. That's kind of your traditional MVNOs. And if you look at the mobile operators, or mobile operators are evolving, right? They know that just offering telecom is no longer enough to sustain their business sustainability, given the investment they make in the network. So what they're doing, they're diversifying. They offer different products like short-term insurance, value-added products, rewards in sort of cash or phones or discounts or airtime. They give you ability to buy electricity, to pay your bills, to play the lotto, to game, to maybe bet. All of those kind of services the mobile operators are doing. So the traditional MVNOs are following that trend, but a little bit quicker, because they also having to defend their brands, or having to defend their consumer spend, their consumer loyalty, and reward their customers and give the customers more value for their basket, for their spend. And to do that, just by plugging in a telecommunications SIM that has got no other digitization of wallets or value-added services, things that you can do over the phone, you would be out of the market, because you are now just focused on telco, where you actually, MVNOs that are succeeding are the ones that are saying, well, over the phone, my own branded SIM, let's call it the Fashini Group phone or the MRP mobile or the Capitec mobile, you should be able to in the future say, I can do all of these things on my SIM card because I'm my trusted brand that I know. I have a wallet. I can transfer money. I can, get airtime in advance for the people that are in the lower segment of the market. I can buy bundles. I can talk for free. I can get rewarded. I can use my airtime to buy things. So this whole ecosystem is the way that the MVNOs are enabling. Now, why they're enabling and why they're changing is, or they can't change, and they need to change, and why they can change is because companies like ours have evolved with our technology platform not to only look at telco, but to look at all of these services in one bill and one view of the customer that we can bring to you with your MVNO that says, do you want a mobile service offering that you can also buy electricity, play the lotto, do other things with your customer? And the answer is yes, because the technology comes ready with this one view, one bill of the customer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes it's fascinating, and it sounds to me like, it's the customer that's driving this change, because, that's what the customer wants to do on these things. And so what exactly is driving this need for diversification? And I guess to your point is that the risk of traditional MVNOs could become redundant if they don't adopt this multi-network strategy that you're talking about, because you got to listen to what the market is saying and evolve accordingly.
Yes, it is the customer, and it's the customer. Customers are, and we got to look at two markets. We've got customers who already using connectivity can afford it, and the changes they wanting to make, and the customers, and then there's the other end of the market, the customers who are just looking for being connected, being part of the humanitarian society, being part of the community. The needs are kind of similar, because the needs are all about. Let's give an example. I'm a company and I'm selling broadband to you, Aki, and you're spending X amount of money a month, with unlimited fixed fiber to the house. But you got a fiber account, then you've got a mobile account with another operator, then you've got a Showmax account with some other service provider, then you've got a banking app with some other provider, then you get your rewards to the 3 or 4 different players. What consumers want, and consumers are knowing they can do that all on their phones because their phones are quite smart, but the businesses that are already starting to succeed are the ones that are saying, hey, how can I offer all of those services, because it's a digital service, over the phone to my customers in one go? So now I, as a fiber provider, can say, well, if you buy fiber from me, I can also give you your family unlimited talk, for example. So you can talk free amongst each other, and you can make calls to any customer for the amount of X per month. But by the way, you can also pay electricity bills with us. And by the way, I give you free Showmax. And by the way, you can also have Netflix at a discounted price. And by the way, you also get free education website where your kids can study on a portal for free. So if you start looking, if as a business that's only providing fiber or only providing mobile, if I don't start bringing out those multiple services through multiple barrier technologies, what you do is you get isolated because you only provide fiber. So someone will say, hey, shop with me and bank with me, and I'll give you fiber for free. So you cannot compete with it anymore. So the need for diversification is coming from the customers wanting to get maximum value because of, and it's companies who are doing it or setting that trend. So if you look at Vodacoms and MTNs, they offer all those things. Hey, you can get the fiber from me, you can get the GSM, the mobile stuff from me, you can get a phone from me, you can get short-term insurance, you can get rewards from me, you can play games, you can win on weekends, you can enter competitions. So you have very little chance if you just provide one kind of technology, one kind of product to stay in the game. By enriching that portfolio of products and not being dependent on any particular service provider, you've got choice to integrate multiple products or multiple technologies. That's the ideal thing. The reason why it can't be done by everybody is because companies like ours have said, okay, that's what our customers are evolving to, MVNOs evolving to. Let's build a platform that they can do that. And don't worry about your legacy system. Even the bigger brands, they come in, they say, well, I've got a system that does point of sale, and I've got a system that does value-added services, and I've got a system that does telco, and now I'm bringing in telco or fiber. So you end up with a complexity of technologies. And it's very difficult to get away from that. What we bring to the table is to say, don't worry, we will bring this technology on the side, outsource it to us, work with us, tell us at what cost. We'll enable you to work with different service providers, and we'll build this thing so you've got one view of the customer. To such an extent that our systems today, you could argue, are one of the best CRM enterprise systems in the country because it's designed around multiple products, multiple barrier technologies, integrated to multiple networks or multiple service providers.
It sounds like a very, very flexible system that you've got there, so you're not very rigid in what you're providing to your customers. Now, in addition to being carrier agnostic, which you make mention of being, product agnostic too, right? So how does this particular evolution play out for MVNOs?
MVNOs are loving it, Aki, because they, even if you've got 1 million customers or 500,000 customers, take a small MVNO with 25,000 customers, a healthy base, they're providing a very niche service. You have to retain that customer, and you have to give that customer maximum value for continued, and prices come down. So as prices of commodities come down, including airtime, your margins get thinned out. So, but for the business side, they have to find a way to enrich their product portfolio so the customers can spend more of them and they can make a little bit of money on some other products so that the value of that customer becomes a bit higher, so they can service the customer better, and they can, the sustainability of the relationship is longer. That's inevitably what it boils down to. For the consumer wants to say, well, I won't get rid of my fiber, and I won't get rid of my SIM card, and I won't get rid of, because I actually get so much from company Y. I buy my groceries with them. I get rewarded. I get petrol discounted. I get airtime every time I put petrol in. I can use this airtime to transfer to my kids, and I'm playing the lottery, and every time I play the lottery, I get a discount. And I've got a special bundle for watching Netflix on the move or DSTV on the move. So now it becomes very difficult for you as a customer to compare the value, because you've got all of this value that's coming from this MVNO. So the multiple products is a must. And your systems, and what we're saying to the market, and we're saying to our competitors is, and to the whole industry, guys, you cannot just be category specific anymore. Whether you're providing a connectivity services or utility service or a banking service or short-term service or a voucher, it has to be available in one, because everybody's trying to get to a single view through multiple products for their customers, right? That's what banks are trying to do. They're trying to imagine they have a system that does their housing and their bonds along with their mortgages and their car insurance, and they got one view of the customer. Normally they don't. They speak to different divisions, and you go through a whole process where you actually don't see the value of that customer. Our differentiation and our what we're so pleased about, and what we actually starting to get right with some of our customers, are saying, hey, that's fantastic. I can have one view of my customer and see where they're spending money with me and how much value that customer has. And I can actually give value back to that customer because I know the total spend is X over Y products. It's just not fiber, or it's just not telco, it's just not short-term insurance. And now you can start bringing a customer that you already got on your books as buying, for example, subscription magazines from you. Say, hey, you already buy magazines from me. Why don't you become an MVNO? They say, how do I do that? Easy. I'll give you a SIM, branded your own brand. And now every time a customer orders a magazine online for free, because I'll give you the data packages, and every time they finish reading, they participate, then you give them free data. So now you're starting to get MVNOs, not just by becoming MVNO, but by taking existing products and converting those customers, that makes sense, on other products to extend to become an MVNO. And that's why the whole market is opening up. Right? So,
gee, that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And, companies will say, hey, I never wanted to become an MVNO, but now I want to become one. They say, well, why do you want to become one? I say, well, because I can digitize the engagement with my customers. I can reward them with airtime because I've already got the customer. So how quickly can you launch, and which network should I choose? And how much will it cost me? And those are the questions that become the barriers to market, and which we address. And then we say, yeah, like becoming an MVNO is not complicated anymore. And have you got a network choice? Yes, I do. Well, some networks take longer time. So if you do it through us, you can pick your network, and we put your existing media product on our shelves, but we'll also put a special telco product for you. And if you wanted fiber to the home, because the customer's got, we'll also bring it onto your portfolio. So the extension on MVNOs is not just coming from telco push and pull anymore. It's coming from a variety of services who want to enrich the digital engagement with their customers. It's very interesting, okay.
So, I mean, we've seen some successes, and we've also seen some failures too, with businesses, bolting on an MVNO. Is there still room in the market, Valdes, for this kind of approach when you launch an MVNO?
Yes, the market, we've been I'm pleasantly surprised how the market's opened up. And it's opened up for a couple of reasons. Regulation from the Spectrum Award, where operators have to become, to launch MVNOs, to qualify to retain their Spectrum licenses that they bid for, etc. So there's a macro emphasis. But the micro emphasis, as I've tried to explain earlier, is the economy. Customers' connectivity is so valuable, and it's not penetrated. We talk a lot about connectivity, because it depends who you are and what kind of affordability group you're in, and how you live your life. But if you take the high unemployment rates, if you imagine that population, just the need for education, if a government could launch something that allows free education, free internet access and study materials, and it's free. Now, MVNOs can do that. And the reason why MVNOs can open up the market is because they are already got an engagement with customers. The customer's already got a spend with them. So I'm buying bread from you, or I'm buying alcohol from you, or alcohol's probably a bad example. It's not socially responsible. But let's say I'm buying maize meal from you. Now, because I buy a maize meal from you and I spend 50 Rand around on my maize meal, I actually get 1 gig of data every month on your SIM card from this brand. And 1 gig of SIM card allows me to have very good WhatsApp for 2 people for the month, for the entire month. Just by default, by buying maize meal, subsidized a little bit of airtime because I'm an MVNO, I can now give those people that can't afford data to afford to have WhatsApp or some data for life every time just by shopping with me. And that's where the whole market is opening up.
And that's loyalty, hey, Valdes? And your customers stay loyal to you when you start doing those things, which is great.
They're loyal to you. And customers are no longer... Sorry, okay.
Yeah, no, carry on.
The concept, there's another myth, which I think in MVNOs, everybody talks about primary SIM usage, where you take one SIM card, you put in your phone. That's not longer the case. The market is 160% penetrated. And what customers will do, they will, and there's eSIM, of course, where the high-end phones and the lower-end phones are starting to come, where you can just take an eSIM or a barcode and it comes to your phone. You can use multiple SIMs. So the technology is there. It's just about the affordability and whether the market opens up or not. But if you think about customers, that customers are prepared to take a SIM card, multiple phones, people have got a smartphone, a less smartphone, whatever these are the demographics of the country. But our nation at the 160 to 170% penetration is used to using more than one phone, more than one SIM. That's how they operate because the value is in that SIM card. So you might not get full-time usage of your SIM, but you'll get usage in that SIM. And I think that technology will eventually come that customers through eSIM can have multiple SIMs on their phone. They can use it all without swapping the physical SIM. That is coming down the road in the roadmap. But customers will, if you give them more value, spend more time using your SIM than someone else's SIM. And that's so that's a big driver. And of course, and the technology, that our technology platform enables people to become an MVNO. That's how small you are. If you're a small business, a medium business, talk to us and we'll enable you.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about MVN-X's role as an enabler, because you guys have been doing this for more than a decade. You understand how the business works. How do you guys act as an enabler in helping organizations launch an MVNO? And why should a business choose MVN-X over other options that are out there? And I mean, I could build my own system, for example. Why should I come to you guys?
For a couple of reasons. I think building your own MVNO is an option for the bigger corporations. Got a lot of IT, but it gets very expensive. I think why organizations comes to us is the first of all is we always it's a full turnkey solution, right? The first question we start with, Aki, is why do you want to become an MVNO? Why? What is it that you're trying to do? And how do you see connectivity playing a role? Are you going to do rewards? What value proposition are you going to give? Are you trying to make money? Or are you just trying to break even? Or are you trying to just engage with your customers? What is the purpose of the MVNO? So that's the first thing I think organizations try to establish. And then the second thing is, does it fit strategically and commercially for you? And then the other reason is, the other point is, what services and products are you going to offer in the medium, long term, not just straight away? And therefore, what should you consider building from day one and going to market? What channels have you got? What distribution have you got? So this whole consultancy piece is extremely, and that normally with a larger MVNO, sometimes they spend a year or two figuring that out and deciding how they want to play. Now it's much quicker. The cycle is much quicker because customers, it's very easy. I can just do it at a lower cost and I can do a bit of a proof of concept. So I think that the flexibility of our systems allows customers to quickly switch on and off and try different things. So you're not going through a major investment. You're not trying to build this whole enterprise solution. We've already built it. We spent tens of millions over the last 5 years just continuously upgrading our technology so that it becomes this multi-carrier, multi-services, multi-product enterprise system with one view of the customer. That's very difficult to replace, because what the businesses will do is they will try to build a telco piece. And the telco piece, as I explained, is outdated. You now need to offer integrated services, integrated products with telco. So it's much quicker. Our time to market, for full integration can take anything from 2 weeks to 3 months, depending how integrated your platforms are, point of sale or rewards engines, or that kind of thing. And it really is tailored around your cost. What can you afford? How big do you want to go? How much money would you like to spend, and would you like to try it before you actually expand in it? Because otherwise you're building this whole organization. It can become very expensive, and you make a mistake, you've got no room to remodel or customize. Every time you do something, you're going through this big organization to change the systems, do the development. So this is why customers are choosing us as this full turnkey solution. And once you've gone live, we're able to do a full managed services. So we'll bill your customers, we'll collect your cash, we'll help you with the communications, we'll provide customer care, retention, and acquisition. Very few companies can offer the full turnkey solution. Yeah.
And you guys have been around for a long time, so you know what works, you know what doesn't work, and you've got that experience, and you can't buy that experience in the market. And so somebody watching this, how do they get in touch with you about their MVNO? They're saying, okay, we've been listening to Valde talk. We need to look at this MVNO in a serious matter. How do they get in touch with you guys? at MVN-X. And what do you recommend that the first steps should be?
So I think well, if you want to contact us, just reach out on mvnxmobile.com. And in terms of the first steps, what we would do is we'd just do a little bit of a feasibility analysis. We don't charge for it. I think the most important thing, and go back to building the trust with clients, is we would do some consultancy, and we would, again, at no charge, to understand what is it that you're trying to do. What is the plan? What are you trying to achieve? What is your ambition? How many customers you're trying to load? What is the real driver behind the motive becoming an MVNO? Because I think once you answer this question, you embed it in your organizational strategy, and then it becomes a little bit more sustainable. And that's the approach we like to take, Aki.
I guess just listening to you and all the great examples that you've used, if I'm a big brand, and I have, you mentioned some of the big retailers, the banks, etc., etc. If you are one of those big brands and a medium-sized brand, because you mentioned how many people you need to start an MVNO, and you look at that engagement with your customers, if you're not looking at it or have an MVNO in your radar, then you're doing your business a disservice, right? Especially if you have that kind of business that's got a lot of engagement with customers. So it's something that businesses should be looking at seriously, from what I understand with our conversation.
Yes, it is. I like to term it as, if you're going to be serious about digitizing the engagement with your customers and with the people, with the communities, you need to consider an MVNO. You need to connect with them. You need to be able to engage with them over their mobile phone. That's the thing, or device that's mobile. And that is the biggest change we've seen in communities who can afford data, who can be on a device. And for brands and for the consumer, that engagement just becomes very rich. And that's what I think. How are you digitizing the engagement with your customers? You need to consider this from a digitization perspective, and from the other value-added services that I explained that you can bring together, the monetization of the touch points and the engagement with your customers, that they get more value. Okay, you get more spend with your customers, and everybody wins. I think that's what brands are trying to do, and that's what consumers need and want.
That is very, very powerful. Valde Ferradaz, CEO of MVN-X, thank you so much for sharing your insights about MVNOs. It's a fascinating business, and you've certainly opened up my mind to looking at differently with the engagement and the digital world that we're living in, and that phone that everybody has in their hands and are engaging with it every single day. It's a crucial part of life. And if you're a big brand and you engage with your customers, something that you need to look at. Valde, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you too, Aki. Good to see you. Ciao.